It's time to check in with the Blue Bloods. Specifically, I'm talking Kentucky, I'm talking North Carolina, I'm talking Duke. All three of these teams at a certain point this season have been declared dead. And then all of a sudden, a little CPR, a little resuscitation. Maybe they're starting to see the light in late January. Let's start with Kentucky, though. T.O., about 20 minutes ago, you said, well, Kentucky's back. Take us there. Are the Wildcats back?
I think they were almost it was almost by proxy that they got back. Like, because when they played Tennessee, Severe Wheeler sat. And now Severe Wheeler's back, and what are they doing? They're not playing him as much. He played 11 minutes against Georgia, and they're finding a different lineup that works a little more. And I'm not saying Severe Wheeler's like an end-all be-all cure to come off the bench, but what I am saying is it changed things around because you put an extra shooter in to bring the ball up the floor. CJ Frederick, who's a field of 68 guy, you bring him in the game, let him run the show, and then Sheeb's got a lot more room. He's got a lot more room. And then you're also bigger around the perimeter too whenever you play some of those lineups. And Jacob Toppin's been better. I think a lot of it comes to that. Even against the Texas A&M team, that is tough. Any Buzz coach team is going to be tough. And whenever he was at Virginia Tech and I was finishing up my degree at Clemson and helping with the basketball team, like, you dreaded playing a Buzz Williams team because those guys were going to bring it every single minute, no matter what the score was. And the fact that Kentucky was able to beat them handily was impressive. And Severe Wheeler only played 8 minutes in that game too. So they found some different lineups. They're bigger. They're better shooting. Sheeb has more space to operate. And Antonio Reeves has just come alive. So that's why I think Kentucky they're back, baby. Kentucky's back. And I'm not sure they're a national championship contender. I just don't. But at the same time, it's a deep tournament team. It's a deep tournament team as long as they stick with some of these rosters that have helped things out over the past 3 games.
I don't want to say they're back, but they're figuring it
they're
out.
Back.
I think is a way I would put it. I'd say they're figuring it out for sure. And I said it too when Frederick was out. Just having him on the floor just helps you as a team so much. When he's the guy passing into Shigwe or he's just on the opposite side. You can't help off of him. And he hasn't even been shooting the ball well, but it doesn't matter. Just his presence on the floor ends up helping a ton in terms of spacing and shooting. They've been defending the 3 a lot better. Texas A&M was 3 for 16 from 3. Tennessee was 3 for 21. So they're playing solid defense as well. But I don't want to say that they're back, but I'd say they're starting to figure it out. And that's just what happens over the course of the season.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on one kid too much, but to T.O.'s point, Severe Wheeler earlier in the season through before this winning streak started was averaging 30 minutes a game. He's played 19 total minutes for Kentucky in the last 3 games. T.O., are they unback if Severe reinstates a 30-minute role on this team?
I don't think the thing is what he does well is bring energy. Like, why would you change him back? That's kind of my hang up there. Like, he's a good player. I just don't know that the role suited him well. He's not a 30-minute guy because he's not a great shooter. And he shoots, his percentages are fine, but he's so hesitant to actually take the shots that it doesn't really matter. And the defense isn't worried about it. Now the defense is worried every time somebody brings the ball up the floor. They have to guard the entire possession. It changes things up completely. And now Kentucky's starting to play with better angles because they can. The defense is playing tighter to them. It's a big difference whenever Severe Wheeler's not on the floor.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Let's move to your country, though, T.O. ACC. We're talking Duke next. Duke, again, ups and downs throughout this year. They lost to your boys at Clemson. They bounced back very nicely at Cameron Indoor with a 2-point win against the number 17 team in the country, the Hurricanes. Jeremy Roach was back healthy in this game. And I don't think that's a small thing for them. He had 14 points off the bench, 6 for 10 shooting in 27 minutes. Are you buying Duke, Gio?
I don't know if I'm buying it. It was obviously great to see Roach back, and he's the calming presence that I think that they really needed. Even when he's on the floor, it feels like they're kind of relying on him a little too much in terms of the backcourt play. But they got to loose balls, they finished plays, and that starts with him. He's their leader, he's their veteran. So I was happy to see him back and being that calming presence. But I don't know if I'm buying Duke. I'd say I'm probably still a little bit on the other side of that.
Lively was good. Lively was really good against Miami. That's a big thing. Here's my thing on Duke, and they're going to be back in the national title picture, not this season. It's going to take 2 or 3 years. And if you look around at all super successful coaches, it takes them a second to get their feet wet and to kind of understand who they are as a head coach. And I think John Shire is going through that right now. He's figuring out what he is as a coach, how they're going to play, how he reacts to certain situations, all of that stuff. And then you compound that with the fact that who's really their bucket when they need a bucket. Is Filipowski Paolo Banchero? Nope. He's not. He's a very good player. He's not Paolo Banchero. Jeremy Roach kind of needs to be that guy that facilitates to everybody. Jacob Granderson hit some shots, but it's as a result of somebody getting in the paint, kicking out, spacing the floor, and then he's knocking down shots. They need somebody to create those actions. The talent is good. It is top number 1 recruiting class in the country, in a class that wasn't necessarily top end heavy like the Paolo class was. But it's a bunch of pieces, and this is a good way for John to learn what he is as a coach without a singular guy that's going to almost be a crutch for him. Does that make sense? I got real deep right there. I got real deep right there. I didn't mean to get deep. But he's figuring out a lot of things without somebody that's going to fix everything for him.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of unrealistic expectations at the beginning of the season. I mean, you have to think about it from a coaching perspective. Like, you can't just come in and replace Coach K. That's just that's unrealistic. That's not how it works. So the fact that, I think as analysts, we haven't taken that into account, where it's okay, listen, this is going to be an adjustment period for him. And then also what happened at year 1 at North Carolina, I don't think helped that at all either, because now, they had the same thing, high expectations, but at the end of the day, it is an adjustment period. You can't just go from being Coach K's assistant for as long as you were to all of a sudden just coming in and being the head coach. It's going to be a lot harder than I think people expected. I think everyone else on the outside just sees Duke, and you automatically assume that he's going to be the same as Coach K, and that's just unrealistic.
There's a lot to it, and it's not like Coach K gave him a whole lot. Like, he coached a couple of second halves when Coach K was feeling nauseous.
Right.
But like, other than that, like, he doesn't have any head coaching experience. He's figuring all this stuff out on the fly.
Yeah, it would help him if, like you said, T.O., he can get more from Derek Lively once the number 1 recruit in this class has really struggled on the offensive end this year. 5 blocks against Miami, another team that had very high expectations, to say the least, coming into this season. The Tar Heels, they've gotten on track. I mean, can we call this on track? The string of wins, Louisville, Boston College, and then a nice win at home against NC State. But I'm still waiting for this team to beat a bona fide, no doubt team that's like a top 25 team in the country. They haven't really done that this year, other than the Ohio State win. T.O., should we buy back in on Carolina at this point? Is this just that they get it right for March?
I'm buying back in on Carolina because Armando Bacot, they're featuring him more. And I think I'm going to get out of this quick so you can talk, Gio, because I know we don't have a lot of time left. But if they can get Caleb Love going, that Carolina team is going to be the Carolina team of last year at the end. Everybody else is playing well except for Caleb Love right now. He doesn't really look like he wants to be there. If he plays well, Carolina's back. If he doesn't play well, it's going to be hard because he is that difference maker at the end of the clock.
About 45 seconds left, Gio.
I think it just depends on how we define their success, right? If we're going back to that preseason hype of, they're supposed to be this top team. I don't think that's who they are. Are they a bad team? No, they're absolutely not a bad team. They're still very good. But it's just easy to critique them comparing them to that preseason hype. But we're starting to see them play a little bit better. But also a really thin bench. That's one thing I think they need to be careful of as well.
UNC has 1 game left against a KenPom top 25 team this season. That's at home against Virginia. That's what happens when you play in the ACC, folks.